Hey lovelies, I hope you're doing well. So today I will be reviewing Battling Boy by Paul Pope, and this is published by First Second, and I just want to first thank them for sending me a copy so that I could review this book. In addition, if you're interested, I also reviewed the companion novel, The Rise of Aurora West, on my blog about a month or so ago. So if you're interested in that, I will put a link down below. You can check it out at any time. I just want to clarify that you don't need to read Battling Boy in order to read Aurora West, although it does help enhance the experience, and it actually takes place before Battling Boy, and it gives you the background to Aurora West and to her father Haggard, both of whom are mentioned in the latter book. But anyway, back to Battling Boy. So I guess I want to first start by explaining that reading this book was not like reading many of the other graphic novels that I've read. So I'm not very well read or in graphic novels. I haven't really read many, and most of the ones that I have read were published by First Second. So I'm by no means an expert on graphic novels, but the ones that I had read in the past were typically more character driven. Of course, some or a handful definitely were action based, but still had a good amount of character development. And that was a little different from Battling Boy. Not to say that there wasn't character development, but it was definitely much more action driven. Sort of like a superhero movie, but yeah, just less character development, which usually for me is a big thing. And that's part of the reason Battling Boy didn't work for me as well as other books have in the past, but I don't think it detracted from it that much just because the action was pretty strong. I loved the kind of superhero aspect, but also Battling Boy kind of coming to terms with, not living up to who his father is, and I really liked the exploration of that side of his character, as well as, the revelation at the end and kind of him having to admit to not telling them the truth. I don't want to give anything away, so that's why I'm being very, very vague. But anyway, and I definitely loved seeing a bit of Aurora and Haggard. I did read this before Aurora West, but it definitely was really cool, and it definitely was a great way to combine the two books, or to connect the two books, I should say. But I guess one of the major reasons why I didn't really get into this book as much was definitely the artwork. It's much harsher, I would say, than the artwork in the previous books that I've read, and so it was very hard for me to get into it. And this was the kind of book where, as compared to other graphic novels, which take me a maximum usually like 3 hours to get through, this was the kind of book where it took me a week or so, if not more, I don't even remember, to get through it, just because I was always reading a little bit, putting it down, reading a little bit, putting it down. It was a bit overwhelming in terms of artwork for me, and it's not really my favorite style of artwork. And I just want to say that the artwork in Battling Boy and The Rise of Aurora West are slightly different, despite being the same characters. I think there was a different illustrator, so yeah. But anyway, but the thing is, it wasn't a bad book either. I think if I was much more into the action, I definitely would have liked it a lot more, but I didn't hate it. There were a lot of things that were confusing, and where the readers were really left, or I guess I was really left, wondering a bunch of things or just being really confused. And much of it was answered or, became clear, but there were still some things that I really wasn't sure about. Some of it were sort of addressed in The Rise of Aurora West, but some of it I think is left to the sequel, which I believe is being published. But I think part of the problem was I couldn't really tell the difference between any of the bad guys, like Sadisto's clan or whatever they're called. I don't even remember what they're called. But they all really looked the same to me, and I couldn't really tell the difference. But I do have to say, having read The Rise of Aurora West, I still can't tell the difference between them. But there's one specific one in that group that is important, and you get to see why in The Rise of Aurora West, which did help a little bit. But yeah, I just felt like for all the action that happened in this book, not much really actually happened. I don't know if that makes sense. It just, I don't know, this book didn't really stick to me, and it didn't really click with me the way that most other graphic novels that I've read have. So this is very tough for me to get through. But as I said, the action is very strong. If you're really into that, and if you really do enjoy that, I would definitely say this is a really good book. And I do think this does do a great job at looking into the character of Battling Boy, and kind of his story and his problems and the conflicts that he faces both internally and, I don't want to say with society, but in a way, like what society expects of him. And I think it's really interesting, and also gives a little bit of a look into how we treat heroes, and our expectations of them. So I think that was really, really interesting. It was different, I guess I would say. It was different. It was a different story, a different setting than, you know, most things that I've read. Monsters are definitely interesting. The situations are very unique, and I think that's part of what still made me like the novel, the graphic novel, I should say. But yeah, I think I would give it a 3 out of 5 because it was enjoyable, but it didn't really stick with me, didn't really do it for me, wasn't necessarily memorable. But yeah, I would recommend it if you're into action and if you're into graphic novels. Anything more than that, I would say maybe like flip through it or skim through it, or try the first few pages. I am glad that I stuck with the book, so I would definitely say if you're not sure, stick with it and see what you think once you're like halfway through. And I know that's a lot, but it is a graphic novel, so yeah. But that's really it, and I hope you will check it out at the very least, and I hope you'll check out other graphic novels and other books by First Second. If you're interested in some of their other books, I have reviewed a bunch of them, as I mentioned before, and you can find those on my blog. And yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully I will have another video up soon. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And yeah, so I will see you guys next time, and I hope you have a fabulous week. Bye!